The New Galactic Era, Space Voyages, science fiction novel by Mariia Obydenna. Chapter 15, Fall Back. The Lumper spacecraft spent 2 years in the Coma Veronica and Sculptor constellations. The crew saw gardens of rose quartz and a purple ocean of manganese, rains of rubies and sapphires on the giants of the Silver Coin constellation in the Sculptor galaxy. In this area, precious drops, pebbles, are formed at the boundary between the day and night sides of exoplanets, where on the day side it is always very hot, reaching 2,500 degrees Celsius, and on the opposite side, the temperature does not rise above -500 degrees Celsius. Just imagine, on the verge of a sharp drop in temperature, rubies, emeralds, and sapphires form in rain clouds due to the extreme temperature difference. Once upon a time, in the hoary antiquity of the planet Earth, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds were considered semi-precious stones, used by humans in jewelry and worn solely for pleasure. Over the past few millennia, precious stones have lost their appeal to humans. In the new era, people perceive the world around them and themselves differently. Much of the data about the earliest times of human existence on Earth was lost for various reasons that are not worth dwelling on. The information was deliberately destroyed by man as having no need or value for future generations. Although for people of the new era, the gaps in some periods of history are quite noticeable. In 3 Earth weeks, the crew of Lumper was to see the solar system and land on Jupiter. Finally, the expedition to Coma Veronica and Sculptor was over. The Starship crew was returning home. After spending several Earth years on interstellar expeditions at a distance of tens of millions of light-years from the solar system, Petersmith, Tet, Lvov, and Roland dreamed of a fresh breeze, green leaves, dark brown trees covered with velvety, malachite-colored moss, and a dark blue ocean that beckons with its transparency and purity. Lately, the expedition commander, Roland, has often remembered the warm, abundant rains and bright golden sunlight, the rays sparkling through the branches, the gentle breeze playing with the hair, the sweet, heady smell of blooming flowers, and the barely audible chirping of birds. Such natural phenomena are unique to the planet Earth. Roland, like every person, regardless of age, loves to look at the sky. Whether it's a gray-haired old man or a toothless baby, each of them finds their own charms in it. It's like a mood, sometimes kind, warm, high, piercingly blue, then suddenly frowning. White clouds, so fluffy, suddenly become gray and unfriendly, it starts to rain. Whatever the sky is, there will always be dreamers and romantics who will strive to unravel the secrets that it holds. The attraction of the bottomless depths of unexplored space will never disappear, luring people to other galaxies. A story about the sky gives so many emotions and sensations that it is even difficult to describe. In children, it awakens the eye of wonder, drawing them nearer to nature's quiet truths. The expedition commander was suddenly interrupted from his thoughts about the planet Earth by Tet, the pilot of Lumper. "Roland, Roland," the face appeared on the screen. "Can you hear me? It's very light all around. I can't even describe the color of the space outside the starship. White light. Nothing visible. White as milk. It resembles a thick, viscous white fog," Tet said. "Have we reached the center of the galaxy? Where are we?" asked Lvov. For 10 minutes, Roland did not answer. Lvov and Tet began to worry. The feeling of anxiety was turning into panic. Fear gripped their entire bodies. "The coordinate system and portometer are not working," Roland replied in a tense voice. "The time and space system is not working either. I can't determine time or coordinates in space." "It feels like there's nothing around us. Emptiness. We must have fallen into a white hole," Petersmith guessed. "Roland, what do you think about this?" "I guess this is the place my old friend, General Gartt, the old wolf who's been on hundreds of space expeditions, told me about. He warned me about the possible—" Roland froze. There was silence. Terrible silence. An unbearable silence that made you feel terrible. A silence that scared you. None of the expedition members could utter a word. A world without feelings and emotions. The team members sat in the commander's cabin, paralyzed and unable to move. It seemed to Petersmith, Tet, and Louv that the starship was in an energy tunnel being pulled into it by an unknown, powerful force. There was light at the end of the tunnel. The starship crew strove to reach this bright light. Was it just in their imagination? The light resembled a sunset, a bright center and a glow around it. Apparently, the light tunnel separates a black hole from a white one. All the events around were like memories, but they were different from memories. Firstly, the events passed very quickly, and further, not sequentially. It seemed that all the events and memories appeared in the imagination simultaneously, at one moment, a whole life in a few seconds. Vivid images appeared, accompanied by emotions, and a vivid memory of them remained. Looking at each other, the team understood, without words, that the path home would not be easy. It seems to me that we have fallen into a vortex of temporal events, into a white hole, into intertemporal space. Are you scared, Tet? Roland suddenly woke up from his half-sleep. Have we met God? Tet asked very slowly. It was as if he had just woken up from a long sleep. I guess so. Very similar to Sagittarius A*? Louv joined the conversation. I hope not. Roland's voice trembled. Some scientists believe that the black holes are the pinnacle of the evolution of intelligence, and esotericists believe that Sagittarius A* is God, Roland said. I don't know how time waves affect aliens, but for an Earthling who falls into a white or black hole and gets into a singularity, time runs out, Tet explained. An interstellar ship falling into the hole reaches the singularity in a finite amount of time. However, in relation to the outside world, the clock is ticking slower and slower, and accordingly, it seems to the Earthling that events are happening faster and faster. As a result, during the time of the fall, he manages to see the entire future of the universe in accelerated mode, even if it is infinite. Time waves? Look at the monitors. Is there a source of waves? Roland asked. No, I can't see the source of the waves, replied the agitated Tet. The system can't detect it, but I think the wave's source exists, Louv added. The crew of the starship had the feeling that time passed in waves, and among all the diversity of the great multidimensional and the great ocean of time, waves of the future began to appear. The feeling was as if you were in a movie theater, watching a movie, but the future was all around you. Suddenly, it disappeared, and you returned to the present again. You could go crazy. The crew felt the universe from the middle, its brains, pulsations, interstellar dust, and timeless vortices. This was the world in the middle of the universe. The radio source in the center of the galaxy, Sagittarius A*, affected time and created the waves of time. Man and the universe were waves of time torn by frequency, but the basis in them was one. Time came in waves. And among all the diversity of the great multidimensional and the great ocean of time, there were waves of the future. They were broadcast by the source. The source controlled thoughts and actions. Light flashed like fire. There was a sense of infinite depth of mind and the unity of matter. OZ, please give me information about a white hole, Tet suddenly asked. OZ instantly reported. A white hole is a black hole that has been turned back. An object that you can get out of, but you can also get into. Base pairs literally shape space-time throughout the universe, and everything that surrounds us is a kind of hologram of the world in which time is present. Everything is clear. We are simply outside the coordinate system of time and space, Roland explained to the crew. General Gartt told me there were solutions to the equations of general relativity that allowed humans to fall into a black hole and emerge somewhere else from a white hole. Can someone know, have we fallen into a black hole or a white hole? Tet was worried. Still, if this is the end of my existence as a human, do I have the right to know in which hole I will die, black or white? It is not known for sure, Louv replied. We cannot determine that. Our system does not show accurate data. Many expeditions that have entered black and white holes have never returned to Earth. We have very little information about the physical conditions in this part of the universe. Guys, Roland began, All I know for sure is that we accidentally end up in the core of the Milky Way galaxy, more than 27,000 light-years from Earth. The main navigation system shows that our ship is approaching Sagittarius A*. The time waves appear again. You feel a state similar to biosleep, half consciousness, half sleep. The onboard computer reports that we don't have a detailed cosmic map of this area. Many humans on scientific expeditions died precisely because of the lack of detailed maps of galaxies and constellations. Unlike the previous era, in the age of biocrits, interstellar maps of the universe were significantly improved, but there was no single map of all galactic paths of outer space. Initially, interstellar maps resembled general-purpose schemes that illustrated the location of stars in constellations and galaxies. The development of the new maps and improved navigation devices still did not allow the creation of accurate maps of all galaxies and interstellar paths. Modern maps imitate the maps of the robot age, but many interstellar crews still travel the universe using simple schemes that plot only a few interstellar paths. There are still a few accurate, detailed maps of galaxies that describe cosmic paths. Space exploration and expeditions improved knowledge about other worlds and refined space maps, but this process was very slow. Black holes are invisible by nature. Their gravity is inescapable, forever trapping any light that enters their gravitational abyss. But just beyond a black hole's point of no return, light remains, and its patterns, like a photographic negative, can reveal the black hole's hidden existence. The image shows a ring of light. This ring-like structure lies beyond the event horizon, or the point beyond which light cannot escape, and is the result of light being bent by the black hole's immense gravity. The bright ring surrounds a dark center, described as the black hole's shadow. The ship's commander, Roland, didn't know exactly how much time had passed since he had been half asleep, but he suddenly realized that a bell had been ringing continuously. Then it disappeared. Then the call from Jupiter began to ring again. Silence again. The bell again. And then suddenly, the team heard General Gartt's voice over the external crew system. "Where are you guys?" Gartt called. "Why aren't you answering?" "Has anyone contacted Jupiter?" Tet asked in surprise. "I didn't request contact with the facility." The signal was weak. The connection was disappearing. "No, guys, it's me, Gartt. I've been trying to get in touch with you for a week. Where are you? What's wrong?" he shouted. The connection was lost again. Suddenly, a signal sounded again, announcing the connection had been regained. The crew could not believe it. Perhaps it was a delusion. The feeling was as if the crew had lost their minds. Fear, a premonition of doom. "Yes, boys," General Gartt commanded. "Listen to my voice and do exactly what I say. This is a first-level order, understand?" he shouted. "If you don't, I'll send you to the Marble Cave prison on Pluto." "Yes, Commander, I can hear you," Roland's voice came. "How are things going at the facility? When are you flying to Earth? The roses are blooming in my garden." Gartt interrupted this reverie. "Roland, listen to me carefully. I will send you to an intergalactic prison for disobedience." Gartt tried to pull the team out of a state resembling madness and delirium, but the connection was unstable and then disappeared. "Gartt, this is probably our last conversation. We've been caught in a time vortex. We want to say goodbye," Louv suddenly said. "Guys, don't panic. I'm glad we have a contact. I'll do my best to help you. I need a little time to get my bearings. Try to hold out as long as possible without falling into biosleep," Gartt commanded. "The universe, in this place, resembles a giant computing device, presenting information in such a way as to simulate physical reality. However, right now, this computer for your team is just a giant black box with incomprehensible content. The idea of the universe as a hologram leads to unexpected and interesting results. For this reason, with a high degree of probability, the holographic principle should be considered correct. But at the same time, however, no one has yet been able to clearly explain why this principle works," explained Elisa, who was in the laboratory on Jupiter. You have reached Sagittarius A*. Scientists on Jupiter have received information that the starship hit the center of the galaxy, right up to the enormous black hole, the center around which the Milky Way revolves. This is a very dangerous place in space that Earthlings always try to escape. The black hole itself does not emit any radiation. Its source is a gaseous disk around Sagittarius A*. The gas around the black hole does not fall directly into the black hole's gravitational well. Instead, it orbits the black hole, forming an accretion disk. Fluctuations in brightness create flicker. Roland remembered that he had once been in the Sagittarius constellation. The team was in a semi-crazy, delirious state. Time did not exist around them. They were supposedly physically alive, yet their existence lay beyond the boundaries of time. Gartt shouted individual phrases into the intercom, but the team could not fully comprehend. "It's a 1 in a million chance," Gartt's voice came back. "You just got into a world where you can see both sides of a coin at the same time, heads and tails. Remember the silver coin galaxy? Heads or tails. But there's another state you need. It's like putting the coin on its edge. Will you try, guys? This is the only way out of timeless space. People are used to thinking that if a physical system is in a state, then that state must be given by something. In this place, you'll have to run as fast as you can to stay in place. And to get to another place, you'll have to run twice as fast." Elise's voice came over the intercom. "Yes, I understand everything," Roland replied. "I don't believe it. The psychological state in which the team was is not allowing them to think clearly. When you complete all the necessary actions and are in both states at the same time, heads and tails, a breakthrough in space will occur, a parallel reality. You have entered the middle of the hologram of Sagittarius A*. There was nothing left to do but agree to the order of the General and the Jupiter Scientific Laboratory. Enter the time counter to 01, or heads and tails, General Gartt commanded. Entered? Thank you for everything. Gartt, you are the greatest general of all time. Even if we don't get out of the time vortex, we are very grateful to you for everything. See you later." Roland followed all orders from Jupiter. It was only on the 5th attempt that the spacecraft's monitors began to show accurate intergalactic time. "Attention! Turn on fall back on all devices," were the last words Roland, Petersmith, Tet, and Love heard from Jupiter. The connection weakened.
Epilogue. Silence. Not to lose consciousness, Roland whispered, "A new era. A new era from... A new era from..." People always yearn for something, but at this moment, Roland felt no desire. The formula is simple. When people yearn for something, they usually do everything possible to achieve it. Driven by purpose, they bend time, harness inner power, and master the craft required. So it turns out that desire is at the heart of any change. The evolution of human desires determines and shapes not only the fate of an individual, but also the history of all mankind. Driven by purpose and stirred by desire, people ventured into the world, unraveled their deepest longings, and gave shape to their dreams. As soon as a desire is fulfilled, it ceases to be a desire. The pleasure that fulfills a desire cancels it. And if the desire for a certain fulfillment is canceled, people no longer get pleasure from it. The end of the old is the beginning of something new. Eternal knowledge, forever pursued, never fully possessed, and this circle is endless. The feeling that gripped Roland was very similar to a feeling of anxiety. Desire is the driving force of life. The pursuit of eternal truth is endless, its completion unattainable. In Sagittarius A, time appears to dilate under the influence of gravity. Time was becoming viscous, and Roland felt it. Everything moves in slow motion. He drifted through his own mind, unsure what was real. Roland began to sleep. The velvet violet fog was changing to denser and thicker white. Suddenly, Roland saw light. It was very bright all around. Light poured in, brilliant and pure. Perhaps this was the beginning of the afterlife, which beckons with magical beauty and silence. Roland loved silence, calmness. He was finally starting to enjoy the calm. Gradually, Roland plunged into a state of complete silence. A feeling of joy appeared. Feelings and thoughts ceased to exist, as did the time around. The only thing Roland was aware of was that his life path was far from over and stretching endlessly into the unknown. The only thing he did not know for sure was what lay ahead. Roland sailed on a large wooden boat along a black river, shrouded in a velvet fog of memories.